Hi, this is Keith from Pharmacy-Tech-Study.com, and in this video I'd like to talk about some ratio and proportion stuff. And basically I think a lot of people get tripped up on ratios because they've been taught about fractions and they know fractions very well, and so the idea of ratios, maybe they haven't learned about it, or maybe they did and they forgot. It's not that memorable. And so let's go ahead and just jump right into an example. And so I've got some paper clips here. Let's see, so we've got these paper clips here. So let's say if I were to ask you what percentage of these paper clips are yellow and express that as a fraction. So you would count them all up. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7. So that's going to be your denominator. And then you have 4 yellow. So 4 out of 7 are yellow. And you could crunch those numbers and you could come up with a percentage, which would be somewhere around like 60% or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. So that's what everybody knows already. But what if I were to ask, what is the ratio of red paper clips to yellow paper clips? That's a little bit different, and it's actually more simple. So we have 3 red paper clips and 4 yellow. So we have a 3-to-4 ratio. And what this means is 3 are red and 4 are yellow. And it's just as simple as that. Now, this could technically in math be written like a fraction, but that's when it gets confusing. So I recommend to not go that route. And so a lot of the questions on the practice exams that involve ratios actually involve more than 2 different types of parts. And what I mean is, let's say we also have these paper clips. So now our ratio is a little bit different. Now we have 3 red, 4 yellow, and 4 black. And see, that's why it's easier to write this as a ratio instead of a fraction. So what this means is we have a total of 11, but 3 parts are the red, 4 parts of the black, 4 parts of the yellow. And so that's basically what we're dealing with here. So if paper clips aren't doing it for you, I could go to another example. Let's say that you need to build a deck this summer and you decide to go to Home Depot to get the lumber. From past experience, I know that let's say for every 10 boards that you go through, there's probably 2 are good. So if you were going to express this as a fraction, a percentage fraction, and say what percentage of the boards are good, you would say 2 out of 10, which usually transfers to 20%. And but that's a percentage fraction. That's not what we're trying to learn here. We're trying to learn ratio. So what if you said, what are the ratio of good to bad boards? Well, the ratio of good boards is 2, and the ratio of bad boards is 8. Now see, this 8 plus this 2 equals the 10, but it's not 2 to 10, because in a ratio, you're looking for parts, not a total, not a grand total. And so that's another example there. And then more of a practical example of something you might see on a practice question is, let's say that you were asked to mix a 3-to-1 ratio of an 80-gram ointment. All right, so we know that we have 3 parts of something and 1 part of another. That's a total of 4 parts. And we know we need a total of 80 grams. And so I'm just writing that as a fraction, not to confuse you, but to show you that I'm just doing some division. 80 divided by 4 is 20. So each of these parts up here is going to be 20. And if you add that all together or multiply, or whichever way you like, 20 times 4 is 80. So if you have 3 parts of 20 plus 1 part of 20, you'll end up with your 80 grams. And so I can't think of how that would be asked or expressed in the answer, but I think you get what I'm saying here. And so hopefully this helps you out to understand a little bit better the difference between ratio and proportion versus percentage fractions.